to the Insomnicat Show with Nicolette and Brian. We'll get real deep with you, educating, inspiring, and solving problems with some of the most inspirational humans on the planet. Buckle up and come on the journey.
I'm excited. All right, guys, I'm Nicolette, and today Brian and I are here with Jake Doherty. He is the CEO of Deri Dari, but he's going to tell us how to actually pronounce that. And we're going to talk about, his journey into the travel industry, which then took a little bit of a pivot during the pandemic. And now we're going to talk about food. So we have a fun chat today, and I love food. So there you go. Jake, thank you so much for joining us.
Well, guys, thank you so much for having me here on Insomnicat. I am super excited to be here. This is great.
All right. So tell us how to actually pronounce the name, please.
Yes. Yeah, no problem. So the name of the platform is called Deri Dari, Deridari. Now the name, it's got a ton of history. It originally dates back to the 15th century. There was a market that occurred here in the Alps in a small village called Mittenwald. And the Italians would come north to this market. And when they wanted to pay using coin, they would say, let's pay with a diri diri, which just simply mean like a coin or a cash payment. Eventually, though, you had the 1600s. You had this horrible war, the 30 Years' War, where like 3/4 of the population was killed and everybody died of plague, disease, starvation. It was just god awful, to say the least. And nobody had any coins. Nobody had any way to pay with cash. And so what they oftentimes would do is make what's called a diri dari, which around here, it meant like a trade of services. And then after everybody started coming back, it simply can also still means a little bit, still today means cash payment or a trade of services. It can go either way. And we took that name because the three founders of our platform, all at one time or another, worked here in Garmisch-Partenkirchen, Germany, where I still live today. We all worked here for the American military. And around the corner from where we lived on an American military base was a bar, and you'll never guess what it was called.
I think I might. I think I can.
So that's where we got the name from. It was something that was common to us. It was whimsical, and it also meant an exchange of services, which is what our platform is. It's where chefs come together. They create content in the form of recipes, meal plans, kitchen skills, and they teach it to people around the world. And we can bring families and we can bring friends together into a virtual kitchen with a chef, and they can cook a meal together and learn. It's a lot of fun.
Okay, I have a question. Why was the bar named that? What were they trading?
They're trading alcohol for fun. How about that?
Brian, many a night I'd walk in and be like, I can do dishes. I can really do dishes.
I'll trade you. I can't pay for my beer, but I will do the dishes.
You got it. It never worked for me. Never worked.
Well, Jake, before this, you were doing something else, right? So let's go pre-pandemic here. No, I mean, maybe we got to go even further. So how'd you end up in Germany? Right? You kind of mentioned
I'm originally...
it. You're an American in Germany, and now you're living there. How'd you get there?
You got it. It's a wild and crazy tale. Involves a lot of trains, planes, and automobiles. I'm originally from South Louisiana, Lafayette. And then I went to college in Atlanta, Georgia at Oglethorpe University, where I studied history and philosophy. I tried to get a real job, but the only place that was hiring with those degrees was Taco Bell. And I wasn't really good at making the Mexican pizza. So I went back to New Orleans. I worked in a bar down in the French Quarter for a little bit. And I met this girl who was from London. I thought, I'm going to go to London with you. You're pretty. Got to London, met her boyfriend. Wasn't very happy about that. And so hung out in London for a little bit, fell in love with the town, went back to New Orleans, and I was sitting in my little apartment outside New Orleans one night and thought, this isn't where I want to be. And so I called the one person who always was there for me and always could find solutions to my problems. I called my mom and I was like, Mom, I don't want to be here anymore. My mom had a friend who was working for the American military, and she said, I could probably help your son get a job in a little town called Garmisch-Partenkirchen, Germany, which is where there's an American military base. It's a recreation facility for soldiers where they come to learn how to ski, snowboard, kayak, go see Neuschwanstein Castle, the, of course, very famous Disney's inspiration for Sleeping Beauty Castle. And yeah, so I filled out the paperwork. She gave me a nice little recommendation, and they flew me over to Germany. I worked for the American military for about a year and then packed my bags and started traveling. I was in Austria, Italy, Switzerland, Holland, but I always kept coming back to Garmisch. It was it just kind of drew me. I could always get a job. I could get my English fix, if you need it, you always want to be around some expats every now and then to talk about football and, reminisce about how great hot dogs were. And yeah, so I kept coming back, and that's about 17 years ago. I finally just decided this was home. And then I met a local girl from here, and we now have 2 daughters. And so she's put that anklet on me. I'm not going anywhere. And, I've been ingrained into the Bavarian lifestyle. In fact, we don't live in Garmisch proper. We live in a little village about 15 minutes outside of town. We have a population of about 5,000 people and 7,000 cows. It's called Oldstadt. And yes, there are still people walking around here in their lederhosen every day, going out to take care of their cows. It's really a lot of fun. Awesome. So yeah, that's how I got here. Now, tour guiding. I was a tour guide working for some bigger companies in and around Europe. That's how I kind of paid my way to travel, that and bartending. And so when I met my wife at that time, I was racing mountain bikes and working a part-time job and drinking the rest of the time. And so I realized quickly, if I was going to keep this amazing catch of a woman, I was going to have to do something to make some money. And I knew I was a pretty good tour guide. So I opened a business called All Things Garmisch Tours. And that was 12 years ago. And we were very blessed, very successful. I opened it right as TripAdvisor became a thing. And my first client wrote a review on TripAdvisor, knowing what the platform was. And so I was the first tour guide to be reviewed in Bavaria for English-speaking tourism. And so there's your SEO right there, search and optimization. Boom, I shot through the roof. Oh my gosh, it was right out the gate. So within 3 years, I'd opened a second business called Bavarian Beer Vacations, and I had a staff of 8 people. So we were doing tours 7 days a week, pretty much. It was a lot of fun.
And then everything shut down.
Oh,
Let's back up to New Orleans though first. Did you were a tour guide in New Orleans? Because that is a fun place to do tours. Like whether it's the cemeteries or ghost tours or anything. It's just a fun place.
Oh, I love New Orleans with my heart and my soul. And no, I was never a tour guide in New Orleans, Brian, but it was some of the best time of my life. And in fact, when my daughters, and everybody told me, even people from New Orleans, like, are you serious? You're going to do this? When my daughters were respectively 9 and 5, I took them to Mardi Gras. And we were right down in the French Quarter, baby, right in the French Quarter, and stayed at the old Chandelier, which is one of the best hotels in the world. And we were hanging out there with the owner, the manager, who's also from Garmisch-Partenkirchen. And so we just had a blast, and we're eating amazing food at the restaurant that's in there, which is, I always forget the name of it. It's French for rabbit, La Patin, or whatever. Amazing food. Old Chandelier, that's where you stay if you want to go to New Orleans, guys. That's the hotel. And it's right across from the French Quarter in the Warehouse District on Tchoupitoulas, just a really neat place. And the kids had a blast, and it is still, it pulls at the heartstrings every time I think about it. I love that town.
Yeah, I love New Orleans too. I grew up in Memphis, so right up the river.
Oh, exactly.
Okay, I have a question. As a mom of a son, your mom was fine with you just going across country and moving and living there? Did she come, like, I don't know.
Well, I think she was tired of me calling her every night, seriously, Nicolette, and then borrowing money and coming back home to Lafayette to do laundry and stealing her food. And so, yeah, she's like, go away, just go away. No, my mom always knew that I loved all things Europe. When I was a small child, I was not small, I was 10 years old when she took me to Europe the first time. My mother was an attorney, and she had a client that was in London. And so we went to Europe a couple of times, and I loved it. Every single time I went there, I just got giddy to be so close to so much history, to be able to touch a church built, in the 14th century, that tactile, that ability. And then to hear the stories from people that actually were here and lived it. And I mean, it always drew me. And so she knew that if she could get me over here, I'd probably, in her eyes, would stop doing the laundry all the time at her place.
All right. That's the secret then. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. All right. So, Brian, are you done with your Louisiana questions?
Oh, I have a ton, but I'm waiting.
You're good
I'm not
with
gonna interrupt
Louisiana?
your flow, Nicolette. Oh, totally.
Okay. I'm
waiting
curious.
for the food part. I'm waiting for the food part.
Yeah, well, because I mean, look, a lot of businesses took a hit, right? I mean, I'm sure you're not the only one, right? Now, but you use that and you you creatively pivoted, which I mean, I don't think a lot of people were either fortunate enough to do or had the will to do. I mean, and I think that's a really cool thing. So what, was there a panic, right? Was there a bit of a
Oh
panic?
my God. Oh, it was a nightmare. I was living on Easy Street, man. We had just bought a new Mercedes V-Class van for the business. My wife and I, we, just as I told you earlier before we started the podcast, had bought a home. And so I was living the high life. And so we went to South Africa to do wine tours. We were visiting with some friends. We were having a wedding there. That was March of last year. When we got back, March 6th, I believe was the date. By March 17th, I had lost 120,000 euros in confirmed bookings and had to pay back 17,000 euros in deposits between the 6th and the 17th of March. Gone. It was, and then by April 1st, the writing was on the wall. So I pulled my staff together and I said, guys, it's over. And I spent a lot of time in my dirty underwear, kind of moping around. I had a full beard. I didn't brush my teeth. A lot of strange things happening, in the nose area that I didn't care about. I was like, who cares? And I was in bad shape. It was really rough. My wife basically, took me outside and hit me with the water hose, kind of cleaned me up. And so she told me to go drink some beers with some friends. But I mean, it was COVID time, so you couldn't even get together with your friends.
Right.
So secretly we kind of banded together, put our masks on, and we were drinking our beers with our masks. One of the guys that was at the table, he owned a restaurant in Garmisch, and he's a dear friend of mine. His name is Philip. And I said, Philip, how's it going? And he was telling me his sob story about how he had let his chefs go and let his entire staff go. And something triggered in me. I don't know what it was. I started thinking about it, and at that time I had been approached by Airbnb and by Viator and Tours by Local, a lot of these larger travel platforms that I had worked with in the past, because they were trying to pivot into virtual tourism. Mm-hmm. And I thought, man, it's not going to work. A virtual tour, it's like a YouTube video. Why are you going to pay for something you can get on YouTube?
Right.
But when I heard Philip say that he was letting go of his chefs, and I thought, man, there's so many chefs that are unemployed right now, and this is around the world. What about like a virtual cooking tour? Mm-hmm. And then I started thinking, a couple of beers deep, I'm thinking, well, there's got to be a hook. There's got to be something that kind of makes it, you can bring that connectivity together. And so I thought, well, with Zoom or these modern day video conferencing platforms, you can put more than one people on a screen. So let's bring families together from around the world. So like, a soldier stationed in Ramstein Air Force Base can talk to his mom who's in Tennessee with a chef and learn how to make brownies together, or get the grandkids out and let them talk to grandma on the screen and learn how to make bread or learn how to make a souffle or whatever. Maybe not a souffle, but bread, let's go with that. And so that was my first hook. And then when I started kind of putting it all together in my mind, I thought, well, wait a minute. Right now in the United States, there's a lot of platforms trying to do grocery delivery. Mm-hmm. It is becoming the big thing with COVID because nobody wants to go to the store. Nobody wants to, see that stuff coming out of my nose. So I started thinking, maybe I can piggyback on some of the bigger companies and do grocery delivery, ingredient delivery with the course itself. So the first person I approached was a dear friend of mine, Anthony Bandelin, who is a full stack programmer and worked for Expedia. He worked for Booking.com as a lead programmer. And so I was like, hey, Anthony, is this even a possibility? And he was like, yeah, this sounds fun. I want to do it. I'm like, yeah. And then I went, spoke to another friend of mine, Jonathan Graber, who is the head chef overseeing 6 different restaurants here in the Alps. And I asked him, I was like, Jonathan, do you think this is something that could work? And if you do you maybe have somebody you'd recommend that I can bring on board to kind of take care of the chef aspect? He's like, yeah, me. And there you go. Those are the 3 founders. And we all at one time were expats, we're living in Germany, and we all at one time worked for this American military base. And that's the birth of Deri Dari. We basically decided we were going to create a platform where chefs get on board for free, come on board, put up their own content, recipes, photos, kitchen skills, etc. Sell that content in the form of live video conferencing, connecting families because we purchased it by household. We have our own video conferencing embedded in our platform. So you don't have to use any of those other ones. And we have ingredient delivery if you live in the United States. So there you go. That's Deri Dari in a nutshell.
And you turned that around in months.
We had the business registered by June, and we did our beta test by December. Yeah.
Wow.
So we did
That's
our beta test.
impressive. That's impressive. That's the most impressive part to me.
It's been a wild ride.
Getting the logistics too. I'm not just putting the people together and the correct people, but the delivery of the groceries on top of that. You know, that is impressive.
That was just pure luck. You know, Brian, what ended up happening there is we started thinking about how we're going to piggyback the logistics. Are we going to build in an API? How are we going to do this? And we wanted to source locally, you know, get the mom and pop grocery store involved, so that whenever little Jimmy delivers the groceries to you, Nicolette will be like, oh, was this from, you know, Tom's corner store? And little Jimmy will be like, yeah, Nicolette, here you go. You know, that right there, that interaction, we wanted that. We wanted that purity, that what's the word I'm looking for here? That sustainability, but that's not the word, but that knowledge of trust, you know, that trust that, you know, that Jimmy brought you good groceries, and, you know, the corner store around there is going to make sure they give you the fresh avocado, not the one that's brown, et cetera, et cetera. So we started looking for somebody that could help us out in this process. And I went back to a pool of amazing people that I've known over the years that have worked in Garmisch-Partenkirchen for the American military. And Laura Stutchley, who used to work with me in one of the old hotels, in the dining room of a particular restaurant, I called her up and said, hey, what do you think about coming on and doing this logistics for us? And she has made it something really, really special. It's seamless. Basically, when you go to purchase an experience, you want to learn how to make, let's say, a deconstructed chicken pot pie with Chef Joshua Northcutt. Great chef, highly recommend him. Okay, you get your purchase page. The next thing we do is we ask for your zip code. You give us your zip code. Laura has manually gone in and put in every zip code that we can deliver to into our platform. You put in your zip code, boom, if it's in our deliverable range, you then have a list of ingredients that you can choose from. Now, a lot of people don't need, of course, the butter. They've already got butter in the fridge, so just delete that. Well, but I do need the corn. Okay, let's keep that. I do need the carrots. Let me keep that. And then that's it. After that, you go to our third-party platform for payment, and that's where we capture your address, and Laura goes to work finding that corner store so that Jimmy can bring all those ingredients to you.
What's amazing about that too is you're looking at also promoting other small businesses and giving them business and sort of, you know, passing on, you know, paying it forward, you know, where they're able to go and now, you know, make some money by delivering groceries, which is great. Yeah.
We're trying, you know, that was the big thing. We didn't want to use some of the bigger companies out there, and I'm not going to name the big one that everybody knows, you know, but sometimes we have to, depending on where you live. If you're like my mother, who wants to be the Unabomber and lives in a small village in the middle of outside of Nashville, Tennessee, where there's, you know, 3 people and 70,000 deer. So that's kind of a challenge.
It's that way,
us.
Nicolette. When you head south of Nashville, it pretty much gets that way.
Yeah, there's a lot of deer.
3 people.
There's a lot of deer. There's towns named after deer. A lot of shotguns, a lot of deer. Yeah, I think it's very true.
It's interesting. It's very interesting. But yeah, so we have to go to the big boys sometime for that. But every time that we can, we try and get Jimmy out there on the streets working, not selling that crack cocaine, but delivering those groceries, you know?
That's right. There you go. That is the goal.
legit living.
Exactly.
Oh gosh.
Okay, so I now back to the New Orleans questions, right? You come from a place where there's a lot of tourism and there's a lot of food and there's a lot of just that environment, right? Do you think that also impacted like putting all these things together a little bit? You know, the thought process.
Well, definitely. Now, putting it all together, honestly, I was being facetious earlier, but my mother has been a huge inspiration to me. She's the one who forced me to stay in school, to get an education, and she kept banging me over the head with this baseball bat that had written on it, "Keep your options open," you know, just hitting me constantly with it. You know, I guess it stuck. And then where I'm from, the South, Louisiana, Lafayette, New Iberia, where Tabasco is made, which is literally right down the street from my father's house. My mother moved to Tennessee, as I already mentioned. But and then New Orleans, living in New Orleans and going to New Orleans all the time. Yeah, definitely. That culture is so amazing, so vibrant. And I think as well, Brian, it's a reason why I stayed here in Bavaria.
Mhm.
You see, the Bavarians, they have a strong culture. The
Mhm.
Lederhosen, the Dirndl, all that stuff with the leather pants
Right.
and the crazy dancing. That's not Germany. That's here. That's southern
Mhm.
Germany. That's Bavaria, the farming area. And these people, they're very proud of who they are. And just like the Cajuns, just like the
Yep.
Creoles and the Cajuns, and just like people from New Orleans, just New
Mhm.
Orleans, its own little circle of just pride, ever since Katrina, those people have binded together. And yeah, and so I see a lot of similarity between the two.
Mhm.
And plus, the,
Even
I was just gonna say,
even historically, right? There's a lot of history in New Orleans, that
oh,
I would
tons.
think helped spurred on your love of history too, for
Oh, of
Europe.
course. Yeah, of course. I just wish Napoleon made it there. But yeah, there's a ton
Well,
of
there's a
great
lot of
history.
there's a lot of European culture. I mean, people even in America don't really understand. It's very French culture in like New Orleans and parts of the South versus the rest of the United States. That's really not. It's very English based, even the way things are
Mhm.
done. So.
No, exactly. That Louisiana Purchase is what changed it all. But it's the real binding thing between that I see with the Cajuns and I see with the Bavarians is both of them have a serious love of family and beer. And so those two things, man, it's great because here they have beer for breakfast, just like a Cajun will have a Coors Light when they go out on a shrimp boat. Here
Yeah.
they have a beer and they're in the fields, and it's an Augustiner and they have their big mug, and they're drinking a beer in the field, the fields as they're taking care of the cows. And they have a strong sense of family. So that's really something that I've seen over the years. Well, the Bavarians like to think they created beer,
Right. Let's what did I get myself into with these two Southerners here?
Yeah. Yes. But I do want to talk a little bit about the chefs because I think
Oh,
that's
yeah.
really cool. That's a really cool thing, in my opinion, the different, like how you're getting different styles, right? And so what types of chefs do we have going on here?
Well, this is where it got fun. When I brought Jonathan on board and I said, Jonathan, you're going to be in charge of all things chef. And he's like, well, where am I going to find these chefs? And I was like, dude, if you build it, they will come. If you build it, they will come. You have to understand, I was watching many years ago. This is also part of the inspiration for Deri Dari is I was watching a TV show called Chef's Table. I believe it's on Netflix. And they have this very, very, very famous chef. And I can't remember his name right now. He has a restaurant called the Farmhouse, I believe. And he's kind of the guy who pioneered this idea of farm to table cooking. Mm-hmm. And he was talking about how hard it is to have a family because you're always working when you're putting the kids to bed or when the kids are out of school, you're working. Mm-hmm. So he never got to see his kids. And so when I told Johnny to go look for chefs, he's like, I don't think we're going to find you. I was like, yeah, we'll find them. They will come flocking to us. And it's not because of COVID. It's because a lot of chefs don't want to be in the industrial kitchen and have a family. They miss being able to play catch with their kid at night, or a mom being able to tuck her daughter into bed. Mm-hmm. And so what we did is we just put in a couple of ads on social media and then boom, it was like hotcakes. People just started coming at us. We created a way to onboard them so that we can kind of get some of the basic questions out, make sure they have certifications, et cetera. And then Jonathan and also Chef Joshua Northcutt, who I mentioned earlier, who's come on board to help us a little bit more than just cooking. They interview every single chef and they want to know why they're here. What are they going to bring to the table? And do they have that skill to grab an audience using, video conferencing? Mm-hmm. So that's in its own right is a challenge. Mm-hmm. And so we vet them, as they say. And then once we got them on the platform, we do everything we can to help market their experiences. We don't tell them what to put up there. We just simply say, hey, go crazy. Put stuff up there and see if it sells. If it doesn't, you're learning real fast. This is trial by fire. And then what we do is when they sell something, we just take a platform fee. We just take a 25% platform fee and they keep the rest. So it's very similar to where I come from, my background of working with online travel agencies such as Viator, Expedia, because that's kind of the same way that they run. Mm-hmm. And the chefs, it's so much fun. I mean, Nicolette, it's a blast. I mean, Chef Rebecca, she's so good and she makes amazing food. And always her two daughters would come running into the kitchen during the shows. And she's like, go away, mama's working, and then we've got, Sabine, who has got this really amazing mix of Creole. Oh, Brian, you would love it. I mean, just amazing food. Creole mixed with this kind of Southern style. God, she's really good. She did these braised beef cheeks just a couple of nights ago for a client. And I kind of snuck in and watched a little bit of it. It was so good. So yeah, it's just amazing. And then the other fun part about it is we give the chef and the customer the freedom to create what they want. So we have a chat feature. So once you get to the platform, you see a chef like Sabine, Brian, where you know that she's got that Creole influence and you know she's got that skill, but you don't see a recipe that you want to cook. Just talk to her. You can right there just chat it up with her and be like, hey, I really want to learn how to make a pistolette. Mm-hmm. She's like, I can do that. Come on, we'll go make a pistolette together, and stuff that bread with some nice crawfish etouffee. Oh, it's going to be so good. I'm getting hungry. I
know, me too. Me too. You're setting me up for lunch.
We're meeting with Josh next week, correct? And we're making. Okay, he wanted to make Brussels sprouts, but I was not down with that. So
I was like, come on.
Brian was, but I wasn't having it. So we switched over to broccoli because I'm not big on the Brussels sprouts.
She's like, it's
Joshua is funny. His girlfriend is a vegetarian. And so most of the stuff that he's put on the platform, she's leaning over his shoulder going, what are you putting up there? What is that? Is that cheeseburger? No, you're not cooking a cheeseburger in my kitchen. And so it's a lot of vegetables. So I'm not sure. He probably did something with broccoli that's going to hopefully taste good.
Yes, we're going to do some broccoli. Yes, he did some ingredients, and that'll be a lot of fun. After this, the audience can then tune in and watch us live. Mess it
wonderful.
Up
because, you're going to watch us spaz out cooking some stuff.
Listen, I can make chicken cutlets like it's nobody's business, all right? But that's it. That is the one thing I've got going for me.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think I may have an advantage on her. My dad was in the restaurant industry and bar industry.
Oh, nice.
so I spent many hours being a bar back and bartending and all that fun stuff.
Listen, I was in a restaurant for 10 years. I didn't cook nothing though. I will tell you, I was not cooking.
We're gonna get this on. You may have to come and be the judge to see whose is better. I'm just saying.
I would love to do that. I would love to come and just kind of sneak in and watch some of that one. I mean, you're gonna have a lot of fun. Joshua, he's very animated. He's a really excellent chef. And everything he makes, I was joking earlier, everything he makes is exquisite. And that deconstructed chicken pot pie, that's one of his dishes as well. So he's really, really good. You'll have a blast.
His girlfriend get mad about the chicken and the chicken pot
I was just thinking.
I think so. Ask him about it when you talk to him. But she is a sweetheart. She's an amazing woman too. But yeah, definitely ask him about it when you have him on the show.
So let's say, things will eventually return to normal. I don't know how the situation is there specifically at the moment, but eventually normalcy will return. Is your plan to, obviously you're going to keep going with Deri Dari, correct? And then will you pivot back into travel as well?
That's a question that a lot of people have asked me. Honestly, I don't think I will. I think Deri Dari, it's taken so much of my heart that I have to see it get to where I want it to go. Right now, Deri Dari, we're in the United States, where I love this. It's just, how do I say this? The emotional connection we can bring to a family or to friends, it's stealing my heart. And as much as I love history and I love going to see castles and taking people to beer festivals and the Oktoberfest and that kind of stuff, I can still do that and, do it for fun. Or maybe, a buddy of mine's got a great tour guide service. I'll go and work for him a couple of days a month just to kind of get it out of my system. But I don't want to let these chefs down. And I don't want to deny people this ability to connect. We had a show a couple of nights ago where it was a 14-year-old daughter connecting to her mom, who was on business away in Canada, and she hadn't seen her mom in like 3 weeks. And together they got to come together and they made a butternut squash soup. And it was just neat because just to see the dynamic, every now and then I'll just kind of, tap in with the chef and see how the show's going. And it was a beautiful experience. And I really want to keep that going forward. Right. Now, being a tour guide, I love, but
I think you should do tour guides once a week on Friday night and do a Deri Dari where you're trading it do a beer tour and free beer.
Dude, I love everything about beer. Oh gosh. Yeah, well, right now, the one thing I won't be able to completely get out of my system is the Oktoberfest. I love taking people to the Oktoberfest, and I keep the best tables at the Oktoberfest. I have a table at like Schützenfest, the Schützenfest at the Schottenheimel, which is the oldest tent of the Oktoberfest, where the Schottenheimel, actually, Albert Einstein used to change the light bulbs inside that tent.
Wow.
And then, Augustiner, which is the oldest continuously ran brewery in the city of Munich. They opened their doors in 1328. Old Catholic brewery, which was during the time of Napoleon because of, what was it called? But basically when Napoleon shows up here during the Napoleonic Wars, he took away all the industries of the church and secularism, that's what it was called. And so the brewery was sold to the Joseph Wagner family. And one of my favorite parts of the tale, Brian, and you'll appreciate this, is in 1972, because of tax purposes, the Wagner family sold 49% of the brewery for $1 to an organization that gives money to children's charity in Bavaria. So basically, now when you drink an Augustiner, you're doing God's work, literally doing God's work. You're giving money to children, to charity. I mean, this is the way to drink a beer, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh man, it's my beer.
And then my favorite tent at the Oktoberfest, which if you guys ever get to go to the Oktoberfest and you can get a seat there, go to the Käfer, Kaefer tent, the Käfer Festelt. It is the best Oktoberfest tent, and you're always going to see somebody famous. Arnold Schwarzenegger sits 2 tables down from me every year, and it is just the best food, the best booze, everything you can imagine, plus that lively atmosphere. So I love the Oktoberfest. I love the history of it. Ludwig I. I mean, it's just so much fun. So that I won't be able to get completely out of my system, Brian. So I will probably still be taking people to the Oktoberfest just because I love it so much.
Okay.
Well, I have an idea. I think you should get those robots, the robots, and put people's faces on them. Right, and then nail them to them with their ingredients so that they're, people are walking around their kitchen with them. That's my idea.
A little robot.
Yeah.
See which robot you're talking about.
I thought your idea was going to be bring us to Oktoberfest, Nicolette.
No.
I was sort of disappointed, man. I love robots, but
sorry. I was being all practical and business-minded, children.
Totally different.
Write that down. Look for robots.
Look for us. There you go. Go with it. Run with it.
I'll see what I can find.
Oh,
Definitely.
Goodness. Well, okay, Jake, is there anything else that we should know about anything? I've had so much fun. I feel like we've been drinking this whole time, so I don't know where I am now, but is there anything else?
This isn't coffee.
And and please also let us know where we can get involved and where we can learn more about
thank you guys. Well, the first thing I got to tell you guys about, and I really appreciate you giving me this platform to do it, is our Kids Cook Camp. I have 2 daughters, and I have right now she's 12, and well, actually, no, gosh, I don't even know the age of my children. Wow, this really isn't coffee, is it? But I've got a 10-year-old and a 6-year-old, and it's kind of daunting for my 10-year-old to get up in the morning and start making pancakes for us when we're still in bed hungover, my wife and I. So I decided, let's get some sort of a kids cook camp where she can get the training necessary so that, she doesn't burn down the house, or as she does quite often, feed us raw pancakes in the morning. It doesn't go well with a hangover. Don't do it. So
we in the middle.
Let's find a middle ground here. So we basically started this whole program. It's going to start in June. It's going to go June, July, and August, where we're going to put 4 to 6 kids from around the world into a virtual kitchen with a chef. And they're going to work for about an hour a day for 3 days or 5 days, depending on the age of the child. And we go from the age of 8 all the way to the age of 19. And we group them by age. So all the 8-year-olds are going to come together in a group of 4 or a group of 6, and they're going to have a chef, and they're going to learn basic kitchen skills. And they're going to learn how to prep a meal. They're going to learn kitchen hacks. And we send every child a chef kit, which has got all the little things that they're going to need just to basically kind of prepare themselves for living in a kitchen, to working in a kitchen. Mm-hmm. And we give them, of course, a chef hat with Deri Dari written on the side. So we're really excited about that. And it's going to run June, July, and August. And we do, like I said, from 8 all the way to 19. for between the ages of 17 and 19, it's a little more intense because we want these almost young adults to be able to move out of their mom's house and not make them suffer like my poor mother did and have, them come back every day looking for chicken McNuggets and granola bars and whatever else that they can raid from their mother's fridge. And so we want to give them the skills so that they can go out and live on their own a full life and a healthy life. I mean, we don't want to making pizza run every night. Let's mix it up a little bit. Let's see if we can get you to create something like Chef Joshua Northcutt, maybe some broccoli or something a little bit healthier. But we also want to keep it fun. And so we're doing things as well, like how to make a ham and cheese sandwich using an iron, or how to pimp your ramen and that kind of
really
stuff.
Cool.
So, yeah, got to get them ready for college. But at the same time, we're going to keep mom happy. So we're going to do some granola and stuff like that so we get them prepped for that test the next day. And once again, it's all about building bonds with people that you may not have ever met. I mean, we've got kids signing up that their parents are in the military. And so there's a girl who just signed up from Japan who's 12 years old. And we got a couple of kids in Germany signing up already. So you never know who's going to be on that class with you for 3 to 5 days and what kind of friendships you can make. Not including, of course, this amazing gift of kitchen skills. You now can get up in the morning and make pancakes for mom and dad and hopefully know how to make a mimosa too. So.
Do you teach that too? No.
It's on the list. It's on the list.
Remember, you can talk to the chef. You can find out how to make anything you want. Put mimosa
exactly. On. It's right there, interactive. The chef is literally right there on the screen with you, walking you through every step, looking at what you're cooking to make sure you don't burn the house down. So yeah. So we're super excited about that. So if you guys get a chance, anyone out there, just head on over to deridari.com, DERIDARI.com. Scroll down and look for that big orange screen, big orange sign on our landing page, and it's going to have a child with that chef hat. Click on it and you'll get all the information and details and sign your kid up. This is a great COVID safe way for your kids to have a camp this summer and still meet some kids and learn some really good skills. So yeah, we're super excited about it.
That's awesome. I'm actually going to share that. I'm in a mom's group, and they started this virtual class group, which is an offshoot of my original mom's group. And my son won't stare at a computer, so he's a lost cause. But all these other kids are having a lot of fun. So I think I'll share this with them as well. So another option.
Oh yeah. Thank you, Nicolette. Yeah, this is going to be a lot of fun. We got the chefs. We're working with the chefs to make sure that they're prepared and prepped. These are all chefs that work with kids anyway. Mm-hmm. But we want to make sure that virtual kitchen is going to be filled with a lot of fun, a lot of laughter, and a lot of connection. So we're even talking about maybe the kids sending pen pal letters and stuff like that, just so that they can kind of keep that idea of connection, but yet using this virtual platform that we have on Deri Dari to make it, safe and fun.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Jake. This is a lot of fun, and that sounds like a lot of fun. So I'm excited to see how things unfold, and if you get the robots, and let us know. And we will be with Josh next week, cooking some broccoli or burning some broccoli, and we'll let you know how that goes.
Definitely. I'm going to have to watch that episode, and I'm going to send you a comment and say who did it best. But I don't want to be on the show because I'm afraid you'd come after me. So from a far away distance, safe distance, I will write a comment saying who was best. The robot
will write it. It's fine.
The robot. He'll send the robot with his judgment.
His dirty work.
You got it. But I got to warn you, Nicolette, us Southern boys, we stick together. I just got to warn you in advance.
I know. Yeah. And in everyone's defense, I can't cook, so it's okay. I know. It's all right. The only person who loves my cooking is my son. So that's it. He's the only one.
That's awesome though. That's perfect.
He doesn't know any better. So yeah. So on that note, we will put all those links into the description, and we are excited to see how this unfolds. So thank you so much, Jake. We really had a lot of fun.
Oh man, this was a blast. Thank you both, Nicolette, Brian. Thank you so much for letting me be here today on Insomnicat. I had so much fun talking with you guys. This was really a pleasure. So thank you so much.